Hi, and welcome back to Law, Justice, and Social Change. I'm Ellie Ballard. Today, let's talk about John Rawls. Rawls was a 20th century philosopher who made significant contributions to political and moral philosophy, particularly in his seminal work, A Theory of Justice in 1971. He aimed to reconcile the ideals of liberty and fairness in a just society, and one of his key distinctions is between equality of opportunity and equality of outcomes. And he also introduced the difference principle. This was to balance fairness and economic disparities. So let's look at each more closely. Let's start with equality of opportunity. Rawls supports fair equality of opportunity, meaning that everyone should have the same chance to succeed, regardless of their social background or wealth or class. Now, formal equality of opportunity, which is the minimal level, ensures legal fairness by prohibiting discrimination based on race, gender, or class. But fair equality of opportunity, this was Rawls' standards, goes beyond legal fairness to ensure that individuals with the same talents and motivation have equal life prospects, regardless of their upbringing. Here's an example. Two individuals with the same talent and effort should have equal access to high-paying jobs, to education, to leadership roles, regardless of whether they were born into a wealthy or a poor family. The equality of outcomes approach stands in stark contrast to the equality of opportunity approach. This perspective is often associated with socialist and egalitarian theories. It seeks to reduce disparities in wealth, status, and life conditions. Under this approach, society actively redistributes resources to achieve a relatively equal standard of living for all. Individuals should not be allowed to benefit from their superior talent and/or abilities. Superior talent, of course, is derived from fortunate family genetics or social circumstances for which the individual cannot take credit. Natural talents and abilities then therefore belong to society and not to the person who is lucky enough to have them. As such, the principle of social justice asserts that the fruits of one's talents and abilities must be shared equally. Rawls rejects this absolute equality of outcomes. He argues that some level of inequality can be justified if it benefits society as a whole, particularly the least advantaged. Here's an example. A strict version of equality of outcomes would mean that everyone earns the same income regardless of effort, talent, or responsibility. Rawls considers this unrealistic and unfair. So John Rawls proposes the difference principle. And the difference principle states that inequalities in wealth, power, and social status are justifiable only if they benefit the least advantaged members of society. Now, Rawls acknowledges that some individuals will naturally acquire greater wealth or influence due to talents, to their effort, or even to luck. However, he argues that society should be structured so that these inequalities work to improve the conditions of the poorest, rather than merely enriching the wealthy. Let's think about how this would work. Inequalities in income or power are permissible if they lead to a better quality of life for everyone, especially those at the bottom. So an example would be a doctor earns significantly more than a janitor, but this disparity is justified if the doctor's work improves public health. The profession remains attractive, ensuring competent individuals pursue medicine. Now, tax policies then would redistribute some of the wealth to fund public health care or education, benefiting those with fewer resources. A real-world example would be our progressive taxation, where higher earners pay more in tax to support public goods like education and health care for lower-income citizens. This really aligns with the difference principle. Minimum wage laws and social safety nets also reflect this principle, as they are there to ensure that the poorest are not necessarily left behind. Okay, thanks for joining me. As always, Please reach out to your instructor if you have any questions.